You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds is hosted by Tatiana King and DJ BenHaMeen.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.
Welcome to the For All Nerds Show. And what's up, y'all, and welcome to another but very special, extraordinary, all-new version of the For All Nerds Show. That's right, it's your boy DJ BenHaMeen, a.k.a. Tan the Man Lee, Black the King Kirby, De La Troll, Radiator 1, the Ghost in the Shell Toe, Master Splinter Cell, Doctor Who's Mans is this? Jedi Master De La Soul.
Very nice.
Here in the spaceship. As always, I'm joined by
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as Beretta Scott King, Glorilla Rod, Flex Luthor, Lambo Calrissian, Dr. Doing Something Strange for Some Change, the Book of Ashanti, Tesseract Thompson, Tatiana Kang, the Conqueror, Kodak Blackwoods, the Ting of the North.
I appreciate that, Kodak Blackwoods.
You're welcome.
But there we are. We are here. Like I said before, I know everyone's wondering, what are you talking about? Why is Ben sitting down and not standing up? Because this is a brand new version of the For All Nerds Show.
The man is tired.
I mean, that's also the case. That's also true. But no, I'm not tired. I'm quite energetic, quite happy, excited to be here.
Good.
Because this is the new version, what we are calling Top 5, the Top 5. You've probably seen the movie with Chris Rock. Everybody talks Top 5 Dead or Alive, all those type of things. But that's what this is. This is the Top 5, where we will be discussing Top 5 of all kind of things. Who knows what the Top 5 will be during different weeks. But tonight, this one is gonna cause some controversy, I do believe.
I'm ready. I like to argue.
And just in case people thought, we've been all on our political-ish or whatever, we getting back to just, talking about some MCU top 5 all-time films.
Exactly. And also, don't get it twisted, I'm going to still talk political.
That's never
If you don't like it, you can lurk in the comments and keep watching. And thank you for the view. Appreciate you.
Love you. But yes, today we will be talking our top 5 MCU films. We're just going to keep it to the films, not all the various Disney Plus series, even the Netflix series. I guess you got to include them now. This does include the Sony verse, some of it. If it made it, it made it. Pretty much. I was considering
putting. It was in connection. It's made in partnership.
I was considering
they dapped each other up
trolling
and said this time.
And putting one of the Fantastic Four films in this one. I actually almost put the Fantastic Four coming out next year, because that's how much faith I have in that joint.
I mean, that's a lot of faith, sight unseen, for you to be like, unseen. Add that shit.
Add that shit, fam. You see Galactus in the back right here. You know what I mean? If they get my dog up in here, that's all I need. It's to be in my greatest films of all time.
They got you alone on the trailer, bro.
Facts.
So they got 10 tickets out of you off rip, bro.
Fam, I am so there. Like, y'all have no idea.
All right, so you're saying top 5 MCU.
Mm-hmm.
So
and because
I stuck to the movies, just me, myself personally.
We're not doing any series right now.
We're not doing any of that stuff.
We'll do another episode where we do the series.
Okay.
Right now, this is just the films. And we're going to do our top 5. Mine are kind of, 5 to 1. Tatiana just has 5, her top general.
I have 5. Because I was not going to embarrass myself and try to rank them in precedence and order, because I know the moment I hear this back, I'm be like, you stupid, that's wrong. And I'm going to want to fix it. Like, no, I'm going to say it.
This was once I started, I was like, oh, I know what my top 5 are. And then I pulled up the Wikipedia list of all the joints, and I was like, no, I don't know what my top 5 are at all. So first, let's say we'll both talk about our honorable mentions, films that did not make the top 5.
I want to be clear at least about what I put on this. So there's two things I want to be clear about. So one,
sounds like a caveat already.
It is. It's a caveat because this don't mean like the film was not incredible or not good or anything like that. It's just there was something about it that made me mad, to say the least, right? At least for me, where I placed it into the honorable mentions. I don't know about you. Or something about it where I'm like, if it didn't make me mad, or it's just something like I thought it was phenomenal, but I just had more reverence for the other ones.
Yeah, that I would go with that for mine. It wasn't that any of these made me mad, because these are all pretty much exceptional films. And my honorable mentions, I was like, it still made people mad, you know. And I felt mad. I kind of made myself mad. I was like, damn, disrespectful.
Well, I found this list, actually, and this is the second point I want to make. I found this list funny because you and I have the inverse list. Your honorable mentions are my top 5. My top 5 are your honorable mentions. So I was like, if anyone's going to be arguing, it's going to be me and you.
No,
it's going to be me and you, buddy.
All right, well, bring your honorable mentions first. I've not looked at them, so.
All right. I don't have a lot on here. There's obviously the obvious bad movies I'm not even going to mention, right? But the honorable mentions, this one's going to piss y'all off. It is what it is. Wakanda Forever. Now, I put this at an honorable mention because, first of all, just about almost anything Black I'm going to support. This shit went hard. I appreciate it. Kukulkan went hard. Everything about it was incredible. I love Shuri stepping up and the whole cast. Angela Bassett should have won that damn Oscar. I will say that to my grave. But y'all killed Ramonda. I will never, ever forgive. I understand the reasons. I understand the writing. Cool. Ramonda, Queen Mother. I remember being at that press screening where I sat there and like this. Like full blown, like I felt like I wanted to hurt somebody. Ramonda off some drowning? What? As you can see, I'm so mad about that. And that's why my caveat earlier. Bro. I will never forgive. I will never forget. Never forgive for that. So that's one of my honorable mentions, Wakanda Forever. My other honorable mention was Captain America Civil War. Again, phenomenal movie in general. I wanted to make sure I mentioned it, even though it wasn't my top 5, because the best group, best team battle, giving Smash Brothers, giving everything I ever wanted to see, like proper positioning of power sets and what niggas is doing and the imagination behind it. Like, it looked like watching animation, you know, if I want to watch an animation of them fighting, of the Marvel characters anyway, fighting, and what they could pull off from a live action perspective. They did that. And to really just see like niggas was beefing, like for real. They supposed to be family. What Vin Diesel say? Family. And they was beefing like a motherfucker. And like, I won't forget that. So that's why those were in my honorable mentions.
Well, there we go. Your honorable mentions. Mine are, I wanted to give a shout out to the whole Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, just because it did not make my top 5. And it hurt me to not do that. Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, both 1 and 2, also surprisingly, for me at least, did not make my top 5.
This is why I'm getting mad at you.
It was not because of Ramonda's death. I'm not one of those people. I mean, just the other day, I was honestly thinking about, shout out to my brother Chadwick, and rest in peace to him, that the time when I was at the press junket for the first Black Panther, and I walked up to talk to Chadwick as it was ending, and he introduces me quickly to Angela Bassett. And I was like, that's not going to happen again, mainly, I mean, 1, because Chadwick ain't here, and 2, because Angela ain't going to be in no more Marvel movies. So that hurt me. But, you know, at least it did happen. Hurt. So, you know, shout out to both of them. And that hurts for me that they're not making it. But
this is where my anger stood when Wakanda Forever understood. But the original Black Panther 2018, what? You're gonna have to defend that one, my brother, because
it's just not in the top 5.
I'm not gonna go into my reasons why I love it. I just want it because we're gonna get there. Why?
It's all right. The thing is, it could easily be in there. It could easily be in the top 5. It's just like you said earlier. I don't know, because it is one of my favorite joints.
But why isn't it top 5, my brother? You got to be able to
I think
defend this.
I think it might have been sullied by just everything that's happened with the Black Panther franchise ever since. Yeah. Anyway, it's not in my top 5. So, and also honorable mention to.
You did not defend it, but go ahead.
If
this was your doctorate, they said you didn't make it, brother. You didn't get the PhD.
Look, I'm not getting a PhD in attacking and breaking down Black Panther. I'm not turning in my black card
Prove
today.
your thesis.
Yeah, I'm not turning in my black card like that. It is right there. And the problem is, because you've already mentioned Civil War, which is in my top 5, and you already broke down kind of most of what I really love about it. It's kind of like, well, damn, but I'm still sticking to it. Spider-Man Far From Home is the last one that I wanted to mention because I've effing loved Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in it.
Oh, yes, Mysterio?
Yes.
Jake is a fucking cat. I love it.
Yeah, I love all 3 of the Spider-Man films. They're also, it's tough for me that they're not in my top 5 because those are some of my favorites. I love Tom. I love Jake, Zendaya, everyone in those films. And that one is my favorite of the 3. So.
Okay, but it was still honorable mention.
It's still honorable mention. It does not make it. And it's one of these things, like I said, when I went to the Wikipedia, all of these could be in the top 5 on any given Sunday. So, today, when we're recording this, these are my top 5. And
I think your feelings might change next week.
It could. Like I say, Black Panther could be in there any day of the week. Spider-Man Far From Home could be in there any day of the week. It could easily knock out most of these. I'd say Captain America Civil War in my top 5 is the one that could most easily get replaced by Black Panther, any of the films I already mentioned. That being said, let's get into the top 5.
You want me to go?
I'm gonna kick it off.
You want to go? Okay.
I think this is on both of our lists, and it's my number 5, and it's Endgame, Avengers Endgame. And it's just one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had in a movie theater. Like, I will never forget Scott Lang finding his daughter and saying, "You've grown so big," and I'm just bursting into tears. Like I lost it. And then when it was over, I just remember, we went to have lunch and we're sitting there, Jamie Rigetti, and it was just like exhausted. It's like 10 years of Marvel storytelling, and then they stuck the landing. I have, minor quibbles with Endgame, but I've rewatched them so many times, both Infinity War and Endgame, and those minor quibbles are super minor. If
you felt
anything.
like the Popeyes lady at the end of a shift. Just
Man,
like, damn.
Straight up. I felt like the Avengers when they're eating shawarma after the first Avengers movie. When they're all sitting there eating shawarma, just like, yo, what the fuck we just went through? That's exactly how I felt at the end of Endgame. And it was just like, thinking about it now, so perfection. And it's like you said about Civil War, it's also one of those films that contains some of my favorite superhero fights of all time. Like Wanda whooping on Thanos' ass, Captain Marvel whooping on his ass, Thor realizing that Captain America is worthy to hold Jonah. It's like all these moments, man. Like, even though I think the women coming together is a bit corny, I know, it really inspired young women out there who loved it. And even though I thought it was a bit corny, it's still fire. You know what I mean? It's still parts of that scene are still fire. Like the women whipping up on when Wanda shows up and whoops up on one of Thanos' children, and what's the name's like, what? Why was she up there all this time? Like,
right.
Yeah,
No, I get you.
There's so many. It's just I could go on all day. So yeah. Avengers Endgame.
Since you mentioned it is also on my list. Endgame. I put in my little notes. I cried harder because I cried in other ones, but I cried harder in this. And for the reasons you stated about the deepness of emotion, and for 3 words on your left, I hear that and I'm bawling into it. Don't matter where I am. I hear that shit. I'll be like, God damn. Like the sheer magnitude of Captain America doing everything he could possibly do, as you mentioned, so worthy of all of this shit, so honorable. You got Mjolnir in your, like you was broke down. You was down bad. All your troops done. All your support gone. Your healer dead. Your tank out of here. Everybody, your limit break, nothing.
Nothing.
You got nothing. HP at 1 on your left. Do you know what that feels? And I'm using every analogy from my gaming because do you know that feeling? Like I'll use like you playing Final Fantasy and you on that one motherfucking boss. Any game really at this point, but you're on that one boss where you fucking played that boss 23 times. You've done, and it's been like 30-minute long intervals of trying to beat this boss. And it's always you get close or you get real far. You do so much effort and time and strategy and your ass still don't make it. But then you find this that one time when you on your last goddamn leg and you just like, it's one fucking combo away. Them niggas showed up. Everybody who got Infinity Faded came back. There's nothing like that feeling. The MCU cannot recreate that. I'm gonna have to argue with somebody. I do not think that's recreatable.
No, it's not even. I don't even think that's an argument.
Yes, it's a culmination of 10 years, and yes, there's been cool things since, but there's too much history. There's too much energy. There's too much psychic ability. It's incomparable to any feeling that you've seen in cinema, particularly for MCU, and in just cinema in general too. For someone who's a fan of such genres and things like this and these types of stories, like
it never been done before, and it's that's the thing. So, and I don't expect them to do it again, and I don't think they should. I think that's a bad idea to try and chase that. You do different things.
Yeah, man.
Because you can't do that again. That's all there is to it.
And like you said, just obviously coming then, off of what we saw before. Like it was from, like I said, I cried harder in this. Infinity War, I cried, and we'll get into that later. But this was just the pièce de résistance. And maybe this, if I was doing this in order, this probably would have been my number one because of the way I'm fucking glazing it. But when I say this was the most incredible thing I've ever seen from out of the MCU, yeah, it's in my top 5.
What's another one?
Infinity War, where I cried. It was so in a fucking really truly high stakes. Not to say it's never happened, but I'm talking about in my experience of really watching shit when shit is really super fucking high stakes and everybody's back is against the wall and you're like, they're gonna make it. And the niggas do not make it. They George R. Martin every nigga there. It was I don't know, what is the level of beyond disappointment? Despair? I've never felt that amount of despair for some freaking live action comic book heroes. I said, what do you mean he snapped? What do you mean Hokani, King T'Challa, is potpourri? What do you mean, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good? It was just the level of silence. I was in that theater with 200 people. Man, woman, child, dog. I ain't never heard no type of silence like that. You would have thought the whole audience got Infinity Faded. The way that when that shit went to black, Thanos won. When it comes to just depth of understanding of hope being snatched from you, and you sitting there like, so what now? Like, I've never felt so lost. Like, I was looking at my partner, my neighbor. I said, well, what the fuck we gonna do now? Maybe if we sit down to the end credits, we'll get a glimpse. No, niggas is gone. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that was the part. As someone who's very much about control, there's nothing I can do about it. Not to say, and that's not necessarily hard to recreate, that feeling of like sheer despair, but for the amount of and that's the thing, the number of characters and people and things that outwardly and inwardly affected, mentally, socially, the world of the MCU, literally like niggas being blipped for 5 years, like that whole situation was out of control. Like that was the craziest I've ever seen. So, Infinity War.
Thanos never snaps his finger twice in the comic book, so he's not going to snap his finger twice.
Because it's not and also it cheapens it. You can't just be snapping. You doing smooth jazz and R&B, like you can't just be doing that. It's a one-time deal.
Now, I did have mine in a bit of order, and now I'm gonna have to spoil mine because we're talking Infinity War, and Infinity War is my number one um,
Mm.
film of the MCU. You know, just because all the things you just mentioned, but more so even because as storytelling, as writing, as a script, I just find it to be
Mhm.
fascinating and near perfect. I think it's really incredible how it is a tragedy because we often don't get to see this, and we break this down a lot on the show as well, that most stories that we see in media in general are in the term of classical storytelling, they're comedies. Even if they're an action movie or whatever, a comedy is a story where the hero wins and it ends on an upbeat. And a tragedy is a story where it ends on a downbeat and the hero does not achieve their goals. And so it's a very rarity to see that in media because most things we see with a happy ending. And then the other side of this is the other rarity of this is that you don't get to see the perspective of the
The antagonist.
antagonist, the typical antagonist becoming the protagonist. And Thanos, who we would consider to be the villain of this story, is still the protagonist. Thanos goes on a mission, collects the gems, and snaps out half of the universe. So from Thanos' perspective, it's actually a comedy because he wins.
Mhm.
From our perspective, it's a tragedy. But from his
Mhm.
perspective, he does exactly what he set out to do in the beginning of the movie: snap the universe out of existence, and then sit down on my farm and cook some plantains.
And he
So,
had a great fucking day.
man, he had a great day. Shit was popping. It
It
was
it was
Ice
like a
Cube.
Zoloft commercial.
You know,
Like he was so fucking happy.
Lakers beat the Supersonics. You know what I mean? It was all good. Ain't even no Supersonics more. Lakers beat the Thunder. You know what I mean? It was great. Shit was popping. Lakers beat the Celtics. Fuck them. So Infinity War is my number one joint because of that. And just to get people upset real quick, I'm going to go
Oh
ahead and
God, I
say,
already know, Lord.
oh no, I'm not even gonna go to that one yet. I'm
Okay.
gonna go to Captain America: The First Avenger.
Why would this make
Which
people mad?
I don't know. I don't feel like this film gets near the respect it deserves.
It doesn't get that much respect. I will say that, but I don't think people will be mad about that. I know what the one people will be mad about, but
Yeah, well, they can,
they could suck
go
it.
somewhere. Yeah, pretty much. But Captain America: The First Avenger is one of my favorite MCU films simply because it establishes so much that comes up in all of the Captain America films, which, by relation then goes into Infinity War and everything else. And it just showed another thing that we really haven't seen done well. It showed how to do Superman. And I hope that DC and James
Mm.
Gunn take lessons from this because it showed how to take a character who people consider a Boy Scout, a nerd, etc., goody two shoes, and make him into someone that everyone loves and respects. And they become, Chris Evans does a fantastic job of doing it. But the script, once again, and this is why I'm more excited for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War than I ever was in the past. Not because of Robert Downey returning, but because the script writers from Captain America on through the first three Captain Americas who also did Infinity War and Endgame are
Mhm.
returning.
And the Captain America series has been solid. And to your point, I don't think enough people have given it its due in terms of respecting like how solid
It's
and good it is.
it's like to me, it's battling for best trilogy ever. Like
Hmm.
in terms of, when you talk of great
Hmm.
trilogies, you
Like you
have
talk
to put like when you
mm-mm.
talk of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars.
I concur. I
Yeah.
will back you up on that because yeah, when you look at it as even individually, yes, obviously, but when you look at it as a whole piece, it from a technical perspective, it's well done. Like it's well written. It makes
Superbly well written.
sense in like I said, and this is just technical, right? It just makes sense in how things happen and why things
Mhm.
happen and obviously there's the creativity behind it. And then to your point, it's the catalyst for everything else. Like I don't want to say anything's ever perfect, but it's the perfect understanding of how to build a character from scratch within the MCU anyway. How to build a character from scratch. You mentioned that it's also a great archetype for potentially other characters such as Superman.
Mhm.
But I just think they truly build like the body, the heart, and soul of a character within the three. And they do it in a way that is fun.
I
And like
mean,
you actually want to fuck with the character. And I think to your point, that's why it's actually one of the strongest trilogies.
And then they're all different. And that's why I love the
Yeah.
first Avenger so much, because its tone is so different from Winter Soldier. People always bring up Winter Soldier. It's like, oh, the greatest. And to me, the first Avenger, you can't have Winter Soldier without First Avenger, because you can't have it without doing that different tone where it's this World War One, World War II thing where it's kind of like, yeah, let's go, yo,
Propaganda
Joe
shit,
type thing, yeah. And that goofiness, but also acknowledging that it is propaganda and all this. And then it just has like some of the best casting as well, because Peggy Carter is introducing that, and my love for her just goes,
Yeah.
to all day. And I think
yeah.
I think she's phenomenal in the film. I love strong women action heroes, and I think that just establishes her as that. And it's just so well done. And then Bucky's introduction and the loss of Bucky, which then carries into Winter Soldier and then all the way into Civil War. It's just like that.
Yeah.
It's just such a great trilogy.
It's an incredible foundation. It's deep rooted in the lore of the MCU, obviously. And you already mentioned him, but I also want to say him because I fuck with him. Chris Evans. Chris Evans. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be a Captain. I don't even know if they would ever do Captain America again in any capacity that we know. Like, well, we already know he's technically dead, or he's Joe Biden now. I don't know, but
Oh, Chris Evans will come back. That's yeah, please.
I was thinking about the old Captain America. When he turned old.
No, he's done it. He's gonna get his youth back somehow, some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's also one of them people I feel like, not to say that no one else could ever play him, but he's one of them ones that's be like, nah, that's Captain America. Like the ones where I feel like how we always say RDJ is Tony Stark is Iron Man. Like,
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think any of these characters should ever be recast. And that was just,
oh yeah,
goes without saying.
I'm just saying, but yeah.
Unless you're gonna have Denzel Washington play T'Challa.
Not T'Chaka.
No, I mean straight up T'Challa. Say nothing about it. Denzel just shows up with his Brooklyn accent.
Oh, like the new on Viv. You just show up and don't say shit. You just
show up. Suddenly the nigga's alive again. Just fuck it. If we're gonna go there,
I mean, they might do some shit like that, like how they did with Deadpool. How like niggas just show, the multiverse. Niggas just show up, like they take the mask off. They said, "Well, this was in the '90s." Remember? Have you ever seen this? Like it's old, mad old meme where they were like, if this shit was cast, the MCU was cast in the '90s.
Yeah.
Who everybody, and they had Denzel as T'Challa.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I mean just because everybody then recast each other. I just want to irk people. Anyway, what's your next one?
Oh, Spider-Man No Way Home. That's the third one. That's the one where we got the famous real life pointing at each other meme and all that other stuff. The Spider-Man pointing at each other. I'm a Spider-Man stan in general. Like I grew up watching the cartoons. Anything Spider-Man related, I probably knew about or really fucked with it. When I got older, learned about the comic books and stuff like that. But really, it was about the animation and like all the different characters, and then obviously Spider-Verse and everything, and really Spider-Man No Way Home being able to benefit from, sorry for the pun, the web of media when it comes to Spider-Man, right? Like all the different versions of Spider-Man, all the different multiversal approaches of Spider-Man. Spider-Verse itself, like, is a monster, right? So to have like this really intricate expression of this character in so many different ways, and then they pull it all together, and then you see like I see my childhood, I see the Andrew Garfield, I see the what's his other name, Toby Maguire, like that shit that I was fucking blown away seeing that in real, seeing that in the first time in the theater, seeing Toby as Spider-Man. That nigga, he was flying in the air like in the Sony in the game, like the games that we all know and love now. Like you ain't never seen no shit like that in a movie. Like that nigga was doing what he was doing in the cartoons, but in live action. So it had all the nostalgia that I needed. Obviously, I'm a Spider-Man stan in that way. I just enjoyed it. Like I was happy. Like it gave me this sense of happiness and joy as I was watching it. Every scene, I was just like refreshing, or in the words of Ayana, I'm satisfied. Like I'm just very, very happy throughout the entirety of it. I do agree with you on the second one. Like, Jake, his role was fucking amazing. I liked his Mysterio. That shit was fire. But just as like in terms of which of those three that I like the absolute most and what I consider like really top 5 shit, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm. My issue with No Way Home is the one thing that I do, and it is when I rewatch it, especially at home, is that when it's the movie stops a lot so you can applaud,
You said that. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And that's the problem with Deadpool and Wolverine, which does it way worse. Like No Way Home is definitely infinitely better than Deadpool and Wolverine in that aspect. But it still suffers from it because when them dudes come through the portals, it is like there's a moment of silence damn near.
They're like waiting for you to like,
yeah, they're like
please
waiting
clap.
for you to applaud. And in the theater, it was insane. Like I'm screaming, jumping out of my seat. Like, oh shit, they pulled it off. But then when I watch it at home, there is that. But then there's also the moments, the little moments like Doc Ock, telling him it's good to see you again, my boy. And that shit is like, fuck,
That's
bruh.
what I'm talking about, the nostalgia and like the hair standing on end type stuff. I was like the whole Aunt May thing. That broke me. I ain't gonna hold you. That shit broke me at that moment anyway. How they took her out. Like I was like, huh? Again, they did one of them other like the shit is not supposed to happen type moments.
That was a bit dulled for me. It was still, effective, but I'd already played the Spider-Man PS4 when they murked Aunt May. Spoilers for like, I don't know how many year-old game.
Y'all late now.
Yeah, but they murk Aunt May, and they murk Aunt May in a way even more so, like
worse.
Where it was like, I can't believe y'all niggas really did that. It was the choice was made to save the city or save Aunt May. And you're like, well, he's gonna save Aunt May. This is Peter Parker, He gonna have to sacrifice some few regular people, to save Aunt May. And it's like, nope. Yeah. And he doesn't, and Aunt May dies, and that was So because of that, I still go with a Jake's joint.
I feel, again, just from the nostalgia aspect, I think it was fan service done well.
Definitely.
Especially if you're an anime fan, you know a lot about fan service. But this was done. This is probably like the best way you can come out on this side. But
all right.
What about you? What's your next
also
one?
For my top 5, like I said, this is pretty much finishing up for me. I will mention, Captain America: Civil War, because like you said, one of the greatest, if not the greatest superhero battle of all time. To me, it's all the little things. It's like Black Panther running faster than anyone, other than like Cap. It's the little speed things. It's things like that. It's like Giant Man, the way he moves compared to the rest of them.
Very imaginative.
All those little things. Yeah, just so much little stuff that I just love to death. But also the fact that in this movie, they managed to introduce Black Panther and Spider-Man. And people forget that. They reintroduced Spider-Man to the MCU and they introduced Black Panther in this film. And both of them have fire-ass introductions and you're in love with their characters immediately. So Captain America: Civil War gets, and then to final it up for that movie, it breaks down to, like you said, that final fight between Iron Man and Cap. And that shit is like, damn, like the MCU is really at, edge now. And these
things
niggas
are breaking.
who were friends, now they ain't friends no more. And it's like, what the fuck, fam? Like y'all supposed to be buddies. And, that's not fixed until Endgame. You know what I mean? And that's like, that's big. But
the
now,
geosocial political implications.
Yes. But now my final, and the one that's probably caused controversy, but if you're a fan of this show, you already know Iron Man 3.
Oh my God.
Just one of the greatest films of all time. You know what I mean? Like to me,
I cannot.
In fact, we're coming up on the holiday season, so I'm definitely giving it a rewatch. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, right up there with Die Hard. Iron Man 3. Robert Downey does his best work as Tony Stark in Iron Man 3. Well, these in the Spider-Man films. I think it's his relation with, being a mentor that really helps him. And the relationship between him, the mechanic, and the kid is just one of my favorites on screen because you're so used to these little cute, smart, precocious kids showing up in films and the older people just loving them. And instead you have Tony Stark, alcoholic, PTSD, going through trauma.
That's the Tony Stark I know.
Yes. That's
from the cartoons.
That is the Tony Stark that I grew up on in the comic books. Like I've talked about this before. The very first comics I grew up reading were Tony Stark going through the worst of his alcoholism.
He was a bum ass nigga.
Yeah, he was full on. It was horrible shit. And this doesn't come close to it. The cartoons, nothing has ever come close to those comics. But just by them touching on it like that, I was pretty hyped. I was like, yo, this is some, dope. And then just his relationship with the kid and, him driving off and leaving him in the cold, like my dad is just, some of the best shit in the world.
Did you love you some Sir Ben Kingsley as Mandarin?
Yes. And that's another one.
I mean, he's funny as fuck regardless.
And,
I will say that.
And I'm one of those people where it's like, I am piss off fans, because I feel like there's a lot of entitlement amongst fans, and the idea of telling creators what to do, or like the idea that we have to see a character like Mandarin who is just ridiculously problematic, I mean, just horribly problematic in their original incarnation.
Right.
Like
the idea that
the idea that we have to see this, Asian man running around with rings on his fingers, blasting at Iron Man like a damn gump. I didn't need to see that. So when Ben Kingsley gets revealed and it's just pure comedy, I'm here for it. And I know that that's another reason why I love Iron Man 3 and why it irks a lot of people. But to me, it's like, nah, man, you can still read those comics. I've like the Acts of Vengeance when Mandarin was fighting Iron Man. That's some of my favorite issues. They're still great. But this version, fantastic, top 5.
Yeah, not my fave. Yes, one of the one Iron Man movie that I do not like, or I like the least, but still one of the hardest suit up scenes. That's one thing. They always try to one up themselves with the Iron Man suit up scenes. And that's when he had the briefcase suit, right?
No, that's 2.
Oh, that's 2. Okay, well then you don't get this one then. But but they do.
Keep it moving. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to defend 3 for me.
Well, no, it's not defending. It's not defending. It's not defending. It's no defense whatsoever. Actually, it was just me saying that I vehemently disagree. Actually, but it has some hard suit up scenes, and I will say that.
She don't even remember the suit up scenes.
I don't remember. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I really thought that was 3 though. With the
nah, briefcase is 2.
Wait, which is the one where he falls off the sky and suits up?
That's 3. That's 3. No, but he's not even in the suit when he falls off the sky.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. He falls off the sky. I literally says that. Like it's happening all the as people. He's falling in terminal velocity.
No, he's not in the suit though. It's a bunch of other people fall off the sky. He's remote controlling the suit.
I said he fell at terminal velocity, like just there, and the suit builds around him.
No, that's Avengers.
Damn! Yo, then I know. Then this gets nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, no. 3 is the scene with the suit is when the plane blows up, a bunch of people fall out of the plane, and then he's remote controlling the suit.
Oh, that's the remote control. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nah, I've been sorry, bro. I just don't fuck with it like that.
All good.
But I do fuck with Sir Ben Kingsley.
All right, well, let's finish up your top 5 then.
My final top 5. This was actually a surprise for me because I did what you did. I pulled up the entire list of the history of the MCU. And I actually I couldn't figure out which one because there was stuff I was annoyed by some of them, but it's a wonder that they made this shit work. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I put them in top 5 because I don't know shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I kind of knew about Rocket, but that's fucking it. Like, I didn't know shit about these characters. I didn't give a care about any of these characters. When they was like, yeah, this nigga's a fucking, deciduous forest tree. I'm like, what are you talking about? What? Like none of this shit made sense to me. And for them, the level of creativity and understanding, and also just what they say, gumption, that it takes to just believe that you can make a fucking story like this work. And they made it work. And they've been, with the Guardian series generally, has been consistent. There has been annoyances throughout all of them, but Peter Quill. But overall, it's just been one of the series that I was just like, they really fucking did that for me. And like I said, it was the one series where I didn't know nobody, and I was still gravitated to the story. I still gravitated and cared about where most of them were going and what happened to most.
Let me make that point. That's very interesting, right? People hate Peter Quill because of Infinity War. You did not hate Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I'm gonna be real with you. I never really fucked with him in general. I disliked him after Infinity War, but I didn't really care for him to begin with. Like he was never my favorite. He's just very white,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't for me.
And I think that's the other thing. People don't fuck with Chris whatever.
He's the worst Chris, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Chris Pratt. Yeah. I people don't fuck with, and so I think that's it, because it's really, I think that's the funny thing, because I think like I like Star-Lord and Gamora. You know, I think that's what it is. I like them. I try
like
to
Gamora.
ignore Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's really good as Star-Lord too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure. He's not,
Yeah.
You're not wrong about people hating
Mhm.
him more because of his idiocy, but
Yeah.
I didn't really rock with him to begin with. So it was just more of the same for me. I was like, oh, it's Peter. But what about Rocket, i.e. in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? That was heartbreaking. That whole background about Rocket, how he was built up by the High Evolutionary, right? Just where he came from and where that was so goddamn sad. Like I said, Rocket's probably my favorite. I love Rocket as a character. I just love always being able to see the backstory, and also like having some touching, soft moments from a character that's always so hard all the time, right? And always cracking jokes and always cussing and just being like dirty and out there, and then just to see like he was innocent. He was innocent at first, anyway. He was innocent, and And then I mentioned also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because of Yondu's story. Another thing that broke me, like when I was just like, see, and again, yes, I know that's directly related to Peter Quill, but like that whole thing of Yondu.
Yes.
It's like I don't know how I do it, but like my mind erases Peter.
Yeah,
and I just look at everybody else.
And I think that's unfair, kind of, because I think he does like it. He carries that. Like Chris Pratt does, him and what's the actor Michael playing Yondu really carry that shit together. It's like those two carry those scenes. It's like
Michael Rooker.
And it's like that.
Yeah.
So it's like you have, it's like
you have to have some care of the relationship.
And you have to,
but I have cognitive dissonance. Like I don't care about the person. I care about the relationship, but not that one person.
And I think a lot of people do that because I think that's, and sadly, I'm going to stick up for Chris Pratt here and say that's unfair because I really think he does a great job of making the relationship between him and Yondu work.
Yondu sacrifices himself and the whole Mary Poppins thing, and I am your pappy. That I was just like, you know that Vince McMahon meme that when you crying, like, nah, turn off the cameras, like that ass, because like it was, and the one thing I'm realizing with all of the movies in our top 5 of MCU is that they're the most highly emotional ones, generally speaking. They're the ones that cut us the deepest. They're the ones that made us feel the most.
Captain America telling Peggy, I'm gonna be late for that dance, like crushes me, and her screaming at him and then him turning the radio off as he's going under the ice. It's just like that shit, crushes me. And then when he wakes up in the future and Nick Fury is like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, but," and it's like, and then the movie's over. It's like,
my bitch is in the past.
Yeah, like, oh man, I'm about to lose right now. Fuck, bro.
Yeah. But I think, all of our picks had a lot of merits. Even your Iron Man 3 has a lot of merit to it, even though I cannot remember exactly how he got into that fucking suit. But yeah.
That's the one where he got all the suits, like at the end.
And he just kind of picks it through it like
and that's why a lot of people don't like it too, because the suits kind of like they get destroyed easily and all this stuff, and people are like, see, that's the thing. None of that matters to me. It's like, are you telling a good story? And that's what they do with Iron Man 3, and the emotion. And I like seeing all those different suits. And then I don't need to see them for more than a few seconds. They can all get destroyed real quick because it's like, oh, that was cool for a second. All right, on to the next one, so.
Well, Tony also makes it clear that they're disposable because
that's
Tony barely give a fuck about his own shit. He'd be like, I'll build another one.
Yeah, he's making 1 million suits just trying to get through his trauma. And so that was like.
This suit costs $1 billion. I'll make another one. Like, it is what it is, military industrial complex, all that.
That's our first top 5.
That's our first top 5. I enjoyed that. I do want to hear, I know everybody's been commenting below and saying, I vehemently disagree, or, you're right. Whatever it is, like, I do want to hear what people got to say about Did our top 5 match your top 5? Was it completely different? And then what is your top 5?
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to know why. I don't need like 10 paragraphs because I know on IG is not even that much space.
No,
Relax
YouTube, they're
yourself.
gonna leave 10 paragraphs.
YouTube ain't even got no character limit. So
They
I mean,
will-
do
they
what y'all
gonna
need to
leave
do.
it.
But I would like if you could just give like a cliff note, you know, a TLDR thing about why you pick what you pick. That would be nice. But if you don't have no reason, you just say because I fucking said so, that's okay too. I just
Mhm.
want to know what people think and also what y'all thought about what we said. So as BenHaMeen mentioned, like you want to be on the YouTubes now if you've been watching us. So youtube.com/ForAllNerds TV. Make sure you are subscribed to us. You have to be subscribed just because I said so. Please make sure you tell everybody else to subscribe. Also, make sure you are following us on socials. We're For All Nerds, ForAllNerds on everything.
On
Is
Blue
us.
Sky?
Blue Sky. We've been on Blue Sky since 2023. Thank you.
All right.
And you'll see that come in. I've been on Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky. BenHaMeen's on Blue Sky. That's where all the blacks are. So if you want to like have a good time, come over to Blue Sky. I actually do not tweet anymore. So make sure you are hitting us up. Hit us up individually too. Together, we are a package deal. I'm Tatiana King. This is DJ BenHaMeen. Also, be sure to go to our Patreon. So if y'all do not know this by now, we are an independently funded Black-owned podcast, website, brand, everything you can imagine. We do it all. And we do it out of the sheer love and importance of the things we're passionate about. So we do love when you support us back. So you can do that through a few ways. You can go to Patreon, patreon.com/ForAllNerds, where you can get exclusive access to Patreon only episodes. You get first dibs on things like if we ever have screenings or things like that, we will send it to everybody there first. If we have giveaways, anything free, y'all get it first. You can also go to ForAllNerds.com to get our merch. You'll get the famous Gucci Mandalorian shirt, the Lionel Richie shirt. There's some more stuff coming up soon. Again, ForAllNerds.com. Fast 2 to 3 day shipping. Them fucking orders go out goddamn fast. I'm very proud of that team. So if whatever
Thank
you want.
Someone
Huh?
asked on Facebook, and I wasn't sure what to tell
Yeah,
them.
2 to 3 days shipping, and it
Nice.
tends to be faster. So if y'all looking for gifts for yourself or your family, whatever, I insist that you go and get it because our team is on point there. And you'll have some dope merch. What else, BenHaMeen? Make sure you're supporting BenHaMeen as well. BenHaMeen is a famous and very successful graphic novelist. He is one of the writers, along with Mello Brown, of the graphic novel Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. Specifically, it is this psychedelic space odyssey revolutionary story starring an imagination, your version of Jimi Hendrix, we'll just say, along with the incredible journey that character goes through. And it is very respectful and true to form to what I think is the essence of Jimi Hendrix. It is probably one of the most visually is probably the one of the most not even comprehensive. I don't even think comprehensive is the right word. It's probably one of the most insane things I've ever looked at just visually. And then the story, the words just give you so much comprehension into what it really means to be a revolutionary. I really fuck with it. And I know people are like, oh, you're biased, you're her sister. I'm like, no. Like it's fucking dope. And BenHaMeen, it's as evidenced by the fact that I think the first run is probably gone or is like a few books left, maybe. I don't know. First print rather.
First print. We're headed towards a sellout. Some of the covers are actually sold out at the distributor.
Yeah.
But you can still get yourself a copy, and we have a very limited number of signed copies that are signed by myself, Tom Mandrake, the artist, and Justin Prokowicz, the colorist. Those are available from Anyone Comics, so hit up Anyone Comics right now, and you can get yourself the super exclusive version with the signatures in it. You can also get my children's book, The World Is Yours, which is also now available from Anyone Comics. So you can get both of those. Like Tatiana said, we got everything you need for the holidays. If you got kids in your life, you can get them The World Is Yours. If they're a little older, you can get them Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. And if they're any age, you can get them Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. So that's all there. So hit up anyone comics. You can also hit up my website, bigdjenergy.com, where you can get everything latest from me. I got some new music dropping in December, as well as, a bunch of new music dropping in December. Actually, I'm going to have like a whole new edit pack and a couple of new songs that I'm releasing in December. And something else. You can also order my books there. You can also keep up with me. I'll be doing twitch.tv/DJ BenHaMeen and twitch.tv/ForAllNerds. That's it. That's all. We out of here.
Fan Bros, F-A-N-B-R-O-S. For all nerds. Fan Bros, F-A-N-B-R-O-S.
Hey, what's up, internets and the fan fam? This is Tatiana King for ForAllNerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching the ForAllNerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.